welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. I'll be your host, Dave Trumbore. Joining me today, as always, the one, the only, Spectral Knight, Sean Paul Ellis. How's it going tonight, sir?
David, I'm doing well. How about
I'm
yourself?
doing pretty good, buddy. We have a very special guest. You know him, you love him. He's back from riding the rails. He's one of the Darkling Lords. It's Matt Barron. Welcome back, sir.
Very happy to be back.
We're happy to have you back. It's been a while. What have you been up to? Roman Prismos, finding your
Yeah,
magics.
exactly. Waving an iPad on a stick around.
Yeah, iPads on sticks is the name of this game. We're obviously, I don't know how you wouldn't know this. We're talking Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light. Sean, what did we talk about last week? We're continuing this night theme.
That's like a fortnight of nights.
Yeah, or a nightmare
Oh
as
God.
I'm
Yeah, or a nightmare.
yeah, that's
It's
what I call it.
so far the self-fulfilling prophecy. We're doing pretty. We're knocking onto the park.
Are we? It's a real short park.
Yeah,
Real
well,
short
I
outfield.
mean, I feel like when I sat down to watch this show, I kind of like pointed my finger like Babe Ruth style, and I was like, "This is gonna be trash,"
Yeah, hot trash. And
and
we
we're
love it.
ready for it.
This is what we've been waiting for weeks. Because we were watching pretty good cartoons at the beginning of the year, and now we're getting back to the good stuff.
No, I mean this is like we've been so spoiled
Yeah.
with the fact that like there's been like with New Year's Nicktoons and with the five cartoons that we watched, like they were fantastic. And now, I mean, it's time. Like as much as there's nostalgia in Nicktoons, like there were a lot of people who watched Visionaries as well as also last week's Jason the Wheeled Warriors. So
Right.
I mean, these are some niche shows, but I mean they still have some merit. They're still fun. They're still good to watch.
Yeah, this is my pick this week, and I kind of remembered it because I used to write an article for Collider.com called Hollywood Adapt This, and it's basically just, it was an exploration of a bunch of different properties over the years that, for whatever reason, did not have a resurgence. So, a lot of 80s cartoon properties that had not been picked up because they weren't as popular as Ninja Turtles or G.I. Joe or Transformers. This was never one of them, but a lot of the fans actually left a lot of comments, and they were like, "Visionaries, dude, you gotta do Visionaries." And for a while, I was just like, What is the? I didn't understand the fandom for this show, and to be honest, after watching some episodes tonight, I still don't. We'll get
I
into
mean,
the
I
show a
think I
little
can
bit.
appreciate the
Oh, I can
fandom.
definitely appreciate it. I just don't
Like,
quite
I think
understand.
you know,
It might
I
have just
there
been one
wasn't.
guy who was just like really into it and just kept changing his name. I don't know.
Like watching this, there wasn't like a single part of it that didn't scream like action
Oh
figure
yeah,
with an awesome hologram in the middle of it
and an iPad
Oh,
on a stick.
absolutely.
and an iPad with a hologram stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was that sweet '80s like green only hologram because it was like there was no sticker hologram technology at the time.
Yeah. They were just like really, really crappy.
Yeah,
Or kind of like the heat sensitive decals that they had on all the Transformers.
Or the Battle
yeah.
Beasts. Do you
Oh,
remember
the Battle Beasts.
Did they ever
Yes, I
make a
had.
cartoon of them? Because we need to watch that if they did.
I think they had like I think there was like an animated portion in like the commercials for Battle Beasts, but
Oh, okay.
man, I want to now check and see because I would love to watch. I have so many Battle Beasts
Yeah,
out in my garage as we speak.
they're just battling it up
They're
all
just
hours of
got
the
like a
night.
full zoo of battle
battling
Yeah,
it
beasts
up
out there.
for
right.
4 years. Yeah.
He's got the whole collection out there. I remember like I don't want to get into a Battle Beast diversion here, so maybe another time we'll look them up and see if there's a animated
No,
version
no,
of
no.
Battle
Let's
Beast out
let's
there.
get it. Hey Dave, what are your opinions on Battle Beasts?
I love Battle Beast, dude. For people who
Okay.
don't know, they're what, like maybe 2 inches high, inch and a half
I
high.
don't even know
They're
if
not
they
that
were
big.
that. They were like, yeah, maybe I would say like an inch and a half to like 2 inches high. They
Yeah, I
were
think
just
a
like
little
little
difference.
plastic guys. They had like static legs and heads. Like they didn't move. They weren't posable, but their arms were movable.
Right.
And so they had like these little decals, and it was sort of just like a rock paper
Yeah, it's
scissors.
all. It was like wood,
Uh,
fire, and stone or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, something like that.
I've
Um,
got to tell you, I did not own any of the Battle Beasts,
Really?
but they sound like the shittiest toys on
I
earth.
mean, you couldn't do anything with them except just collect them all. It was like pre-Pokemon, but
And
they
even
were
the
kind of
glue
cool.
that was underneath, like the
Oh
the
yeah,
heat decal, like came off after like the second
30
time you press
seconds.
down
Yeah,
on it, and like you just be like, ah, and I got the sticker stuck on my fucking hand. Great,
yeah.
this is exactly what I didn't want to have happen, and now it's come true. So
And,
great.
and you just
And it's
robbed
that
a little guy of all
weapons
his
grade
power.
industrial girl, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it only sticks to your hand forever. It just doesn't stick to plastic. So it'll never come off your skin, but that shit'll fall right off that Chinese plastic. Good times. I love Battle Beast diversions. But for tonight's hour, we're going to head back to Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light. And since Matt is back, we're going to let him do a little bit of warm up here with the history of the show.
Okay, so Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light was originally action figures from Hasbro, the releaser of all action figures, and they were released in 1987. So actually, there were two forms of media about this particular series of action figure, a comic book series published by Star Comics, and then a half-hour animated TV series made by Sunbow Productions. And that started in 1987 as well. The toy line was not a very large success, which led to both the comic and the TV series getting canceled. So when one of your three goes down, it takes the other two with them,
exactly.
apparently. The comic actually only lasted 6 issues and was canceled halfway through a 4-part storyline. And the animated series, Jesus Christ.
That's really rough for like the 80s. If you can't hack it in the 80s to go at least 65 episodes.
Somebody had to leave Hollywood when that went down.
Honestly, like you would think that like if you went into like a pitch room and you're like, look, there's this dick wizard who does dick stuff and gives people these shitty powers. You'd think that they'd be like, man, this is on lock, 65 episodes. Bam, snap their finger.
Kids
like,
are gonna love it.
We've made 120 episodes about way less than this.
Yeah, really.
All right, so anyway, one series, 13 episodes, not picked up for a second, possibly because all these Sunbow cartoons came to an end after the Transformers. For Season 4, 3-part Rebirth, and G.I. Joe the movie, when Sunbow lost its contract and it did not get renewed. I don't know why. I loved the G.I. Joe movie.
I don't know, you might be in the minority there. That'll be one that we'll have to revisit because it's been a very long time since I remember that. Since I watched
Isn't that the one where Duke gets like stabbed by a snake kind of spear thing?
Man, we really have to revisit that now.
Movie?
Yeah, we gotta watch that because I don't remember.
But I digress.
That'd be great. I'd watch it just for that.
Guys, I actually just pulled it up on YouTube. I'm gonna sit this podcast out. I'm just gonna watch that. So have fun.
Sounds good.
Been good
Just watch it live, and we'll hear your reactions as we record tonight. But yeah, so I guess that wraps it up for the history of Visionaries. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be too harsh on them because pretty much everything went in the 80s. Like it was like whatever the idea was, sure, we'll run with it for 65 episodes. So maybe it was the fact that this production company got shut down and then didn't get their contracts renewed, and maybe it was just bad luck for them. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think the show itself was worth?
I mean, one series, one season of 13 episodes seems, that's got to have an outside contributor. Because I mean, like, how many episodes did Turbo Teen go?
Yeah, well, Sean and I were talking about this recently too. So we kind of figured out the reason for the 65 episode order for one season. It was because it basically allowed them to air it every day, Monday through Friday, for a 13-week run. So in this case, it was just like a once per week kind of thing. So it was getting more into the mode of like the 90s style of ordering cartoons.
Right.
Where it was a literal Saturday morning cartoon or a once weekly cartoon for a 13-week season.
Yeah, I mean, for like 1987, kind of, you would think that maybe, I mean, this show seems ripe for the 65 episode rule. Like, I was kind of surprised when doing a little bit of research that it only went 13 episodes. I was like, oh man, like who like I can't believe that like Sunbow or like, I can't believe that like somebody like tightened their belt on this and they're just like, look, like we've seen all these other places. We've seen Ruby Spears and what they do, and we're just gonna suck it up and just not take the loss on this.
I mean, it actually kind of made probably some financial sense, especially since the toys weren't doing it. And that really goes to the marketing power behind these properties. The fact that even if the show is terrible and they don't have good ratings, it doesn't matter because it's just a weekly or daily commercial for their toys. So if the toy production, if the toy line is doing well, they don't give a shit about the show. And since the toys were not doing well here, they just scrapped the whole thing. That's what it's.
My favorite. Oh, go ahead, Baron.
What would be really interesting to see is the success of a toy where the show came first, and then the success of a show where the toy came first.
Yeah, there are examples out there, and that'd be good to actually kind of put together. And we've talked about some of them, but I can't think of any off the top of my head because I don't want to say the wrong ones. But yeah, that'd be an interesting look. That'll be your thesis. Sean has his theme song thesis. You can put your chicken and the egg toy and cartoon show thesis to the test here.
Great.
Speaking of the toys, did you guys have any of these toys by any chance?
Surprisingly, I didn't. I was actually kind of surprised. Like that was the biggest thing. Like when I started watching this, uh, like 2 seconds in, I was like, why does everybody have like a mirror on their
Yeah.
chest? Like that
Like
seems
even
like
before
poor
they have
planning.
powers, which was the really weird part.
Yeah, I was like, that seems like poor planning on the part of like any
Yeah.
knight. Like to have like a giant like illuminated kind of surface. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if you're fighting and like the sun is to your advantage, you can
Or
reflect the
maybe like
sun.
incredibly good planning because, hey, what if one day I get a light-based magical power? I'm definitely going to need
Hey, where
this.
could I
Well,
put
I
that?
mean,
Oh, how about this giant hole in my chest?
well, I mean, like it goes to like the whole synopsis of the show
Please,
is
yes.
just like, well, maybe we should like maybe we should really think about the fact that like I don't understand anybody who like plans so far into the future. Like I feel like all of these visionaries like they had like a 5 year plan when they were just like technology's gonna fail, the world's gonna devolve back into like a Ren
Yeah, like
fair,
medieval
and
times.
and yeah, like it's good. We're gonna become like the main attraction at like a John Strongbow's slash like medieval times
Right.
restaurant. Like, and we should definitely put like I mean, what is it? It was like a hexagonal like mirror like on our chests because you know what? There might be
Yeah,
magic.
we're fashion
Like,
forward. Yeah,
Yeah,
7,000
it
like
was
years in
more
the
like an
future.
upside-down trapezoid.
Yeah,
But
yeah, like I've lived a lot of my life thinking to myself like there could be magic.
yeah,
You know?
someday.
Yeah.
But magic and science cannot coexist, apparently, in
Yeah,
this show.
exactly.
One precludes the other. Yeah. Yeah, since you kind of danced around it, do you want to just go into the synopsis and explain what this batshit is all about?
Yeah, please. There's this planet called Prismos. They are like a very advanced
Yeah.
scientific society.
Peaceful,
They
successful.
like
Yeah.
when you see like in the first episode, like when they give you like a little bit of a glimpse of what Prismos used to be, you see that like they have like planes, they have a lot of technology. It's like
they have a monorail.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
like
they have a
any
model.
vision of the future from the 1950s America.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is like, high towers, like giant kind of like scientific looking spires. Everything, seems uh, like component and grid based. Like it looks awesome. Like it looks like every sci-fi photo that like I've ever looked
Yeah.
at,
I was
and just thought to
sorely
myself like,
disappointed.
oh,
Yeah,
that looks
when
baller.
that got like destroyed in an instant, I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that was the show I wanted to watch. I don't want to watch this show anymore."
So the the people who are so what happens on Prismos is that there is an event, um, and this event renders their technology unavailable to them anymore. Like everything fails, everything goes out of commission. They have no more machines anymore, and so they're forced to rely on like machines that are like animal based
Right.
or like human powered. And so there are like in the wake of this like cataclysmic disaster, they decide that like the best way to handle and cope with this is that they should become knights again. And so they kind of divvy themselves up into these two groups, which are spectral knights, which are the good guys clearly, and the darkling
Right.
lords. And it's weird too because like it doesn't start out like that. Like they're not immediately grouped or categorized right out of the
Yeah,
gate.
there's a lot
Like
of disparate knights just kind of like running around. You don't really know who's
right.
who. They have their helmets on. Everybody's got
But
their own
like
kind of design to their armor too, so it's kind of weird. You don't know what's going on.
but Dave hit the key point, all right, that there are a lot of disparate knights like out there, like a lot of rogue knights running around, and everybody has the same dumb fashion
Yeah.
sense.
I don't know who. It must have been like the King Arthur of their time was like the first guy to just put a giant hexagonal hole in his chest, and everybody was just like, "That's what I want. I want to be a knight just like him," because everybody has it, and it's all. And they also carry these staffs with them, which
Yeah.
have, like Matt
Well,
said, eye-patterns.
banners like that make sense. I
Banners
mean, like
do, yes. Not wait. Did they? Yeah, they actually did have emblems on them though, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay,
originally
that makes
before they
more sense.
were
Yeah,
mystified.
by your
So
buddy.
So, well, our buddy Merklin the wizard
What a
shows
name.
up, and he originally proposes the idea to this dude named Darkstorm,
Right.
and he's just like, "Hey, I got these magic powers. Like, there's magic in the world. You want in on this?" And like Darkstorm just gives him like the Joaquin Phoenix like thumbs down, and like dumps him into like a pit, and it's just like, "Fuck you! I don't want any of this shit."
Yeah, I
So
loved that moment. There were a few moments in that first
Oh, that was the
episode
greatest thing
where,
ever.
like, so like anybody that would come into Darkstorm's kind of like castle or whatever it was, he had this mercenary named Recon, who was just sitting behind a bunch of levers.
I wish everybody was. This is like the fact that he's called Recon.
Right.
It's like
Yeah,
Reekon.
they
All
go
right,
to
like
like
you
the
don't know
most
if he like if
absurd
you don't know if
lengths.
it's like if he actually performs the act of recon,
Right.
like Recon,
Or
or
if
if
it
he
just
just
smells
stinks.
so
And
bad.
they were just like, "Man, you're a stinky knight."
Oof, you cannot get that reek off you, Recon.
Oof.
It's really bad. All these names are really bad. But I
Yeah.
liked Recon because not only was he like a cutthroat mercenary, but he really loved pulling that lever on people and dropping them into like an underground
Yeah, that was
river.
pretty great.
He loved just the pit. Because like your
I'm
first,
jealous.
yeah,
I'm jealous of finding a man who loves his work.
yeah, that would be nice. One of these days we'll.
Like who loves what he does. Like he was entertained with the idea of pulling that
Hey,
lever.
if I happened to hit that Powerball this past week, I would have employed you as my guy who pulls the lever that drops bill collectors or whoever into
I'm
a
in.
pit.
I'm in, buddy.
All right, future notice, future notice. But no, I love that
So
because like your first introduction there is this meek kind of guy who comes up and he's like reminding the viewers. He's like, oh, by the way, there's no more science or technology, so I've developed a catapult that runs.
on was it
I think I
gerbils?
can't remember if it was gerbils
Gerbils.
or
It was
hamsters.
gerbils.
No, it's
It was
hamsters.
hamsters. He's like,
Hamsters?
runs on
Yeah,
hamsters.
I
And
wrote it down as hamster catapult through trap door is the correct response.
yes, right through the
That was the exact note that I made.
Well, but then the wizard shows up and they do the same thing to him. He's just like, magic,
Right.
get out of here, crazy pants. And they drop the wizard, but the wizard's like mystical orb thing
Yeah, it's
stays
like a
for them.
weird version of. It's like a deadly version of Shark Tank.
Yeah, and to be honest, the wizard was not that impressive. The fact that he just kind of like dropped straight through the trap door and did not
Yeah,
surface
I was like,
again. It's
that's
like,
just
well,
kind of
that's
a
a
shitty
shitty
wizard.
wizard. Yep, exactly.
But I mean, to that point,
Yeah.
what happens is Merklin. He goes to the head of the Prince of New Valeric named Leoric, and he's just like, look, I got magic, and Leoric, like any good leader, is like, look, I'm looking for any possible advantage, and if you tell me that there's like magic in the world, you know what? I mean, I'll quest after that shit. Like,
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find it. I'll try to use this to my advantage. And so like I think in a sort like in a way like that's a decent leader. Like, he's not telling him to like shove off, and he's not saying like, all right, well, hook me up right now. I don't want to do anything. He's like I'm willing to listen. So like I can respect that.
Yeah, and remember at this point too, he doesn't really have like a legion of people following him. He's the de
Right.
facto leader, but he's only got a few people kind of like by his side. He doesn't have.
I mean, like
as many.
I have, and that's the thing that like blew my mind, Dave. Is I was just like, all right, like how quickly since this event, like on Prismos,
Yeah.
did the world fall into like ruin?
Just real fast.
That was
Real
that was
fast.
my question as well.
Like
I was
next fucking day, it was just like, guys, we built castles.
We got these castles
exactly.
laying
Well,
around.
what was hilarious is they have the like gigantic stone walls in front of the still advanced building.
Right.
Yeah,
Like who built
like
the
the
damn wall?
stark contrast in like the scenery was just amazing. I was like, man, you guys are just dicks.
And that was the thing. I thought maybe in the intro or in that first episode they said like the Prismos civilization, the technological civilization, had been around for 7,000 years. And
Yeah,
then
they
one
did.
day when like the suns all align or whatever, the three suns line up, boom! It's just like no more science. That never existed. It's gone. Everything's broken. You can't figure shit out at all anymore. All you have left to rely on is magic. And everybody was just like, yeah, okay, that sounds good. I'm tired of this science and technology and peace and success crap.
I'm actually like I want to call bullshit on that
Yeah,
because I'm just
it's
like, look,
terrible.
if they were so into science, like there had to have been an astrologer that was just like, hey guys, look, like we're gonna get a weird alignment. Mercury's gonna be in retrograde.
Right.
I don't know what you guys are up to,
It's the
but
dawning of the age of Aquarius, so we really
Oh my
gotta,
God,
like,
it just-
prep for this.
I just fucking realized this is like their actual Y2K.
Yeah, but it actually happened.
But it actually
And
happened.
then magic came into the world. Cell
Oh,
phones
these
no longer work,
dumb.
but we do have
Wait,
magical
I
hologram
think
beasts.
if in the year, like at the end of 1999, it would have been on the news like, listen, all the computers are going to turn off,
Right.
but we will have magic. Everybody would have been like, okay,
Yeah.
fuck it.
Finally,
Yeah.
I've been playing this card game with my friends for years. It's about to
Uh,
pay off. Yeah. I know both you guys played Magic, so sorry. Suck it up. Did I lose you? That was the best. I love that laugh.
Oh, we played Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
guys, I'm gonna be able to tap this Shivan Dragon and win this match.
Yeah, and that was, I mean,
First, I'll tap your mana and then your girlfriend.
oh
Oh,
no.
boy.
Oh no. It's funny, they actually kind of worked mana into this series even if they never actually said it. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't just like, wow, fuck, we still didn't get to like the actual power. So Sean, I'll turn it back over to you to kind of
Okay, so
yeah.
man, we keep so.
Well, there's so much craziness to talk about.
Well, I
in
mean,
this
there's
one, we'll
like
get-
there. So this wizard, as we mentioned, Merklin, which is like the combination of Merlin and like Merkin, like a pubic wig, and so like he comes in and he tells everybody that like, hey, if you survive this dangerous and like very treacherous
climb up the aggro crag is
mission
basically what
that
it
I'm
was.
giving to all of you, you guys will all be rewarded handsomely.
Right.
And so when a group of them succeeds, they are given these animal totems that reside in the hexagonal mirrors that are on the chest of their armor.
Yeah, the conveniently placed mirrors. Yeah.
And so our pubic wizard picks all of these animal totems based on their specific personalities or the traits that they demonstrated during the task that Merkin had created. And so what ends up happening is that they all decide that they want to have peace, like in Prismos.
Well,
And so they
even
all
before they get there, though, so this is where the two sides kind of start to align with each other a little bit. You know, the guys who are kind of the underhanded ones that want to like use dirty tricks to get to the place first, they kind of all unite in a certain way. They make kind of these false allegiances to each other. And then the guys who actually all walk the straight and narrow and try to help people out, they all kind of gravitate towards each other too. I thought that was kind of cool how the wizard offered the power to both sides. He wasn't really playing favorites, he just wanted people to do his dirty work. And then they kind of sorted themselves out just based on how they behaved. I thought that was kind of cool.
yeah,
The end.
the end.
This channel was cool. The end.
Did you notice in that, like in the castle or whatever the hell it was, the shrine they were climbing around in?
Iron Mountain, yeah.
Yeah. Did you notice that there were like an assload of skeletons, some of them with modern armor on? So I'm
Yeah.
thinking that wasn't the first go through.
Which, again, back to our question, like, how long has science been broken and how long has magic reigned? Because at one point, I thought they said for, like, 100 years, but then in the comics, it was only, like, 4 years, because
Yeah.
Leoric, who's the leader, was technically, he was the mayor of the city previously.
Right.
There were people that had, like, regular jobs, like a police officer, there was a guy who
Right.
was a thief, and it was only a few years, but I think in the cartoon, they made it seem like hundreds, so they'd completely
Yeah,
lost track of any of the science or the technology of the previous years. Yeah.
And I'm gonna venture to say, Dave, that there was little to no, like time. Like the you get the impression that like event happened on a Monday, shit went crazy on a Tuesday.
Right.
They started building castles on a
It
Wednesday.
devolved by Wednesday.
Fucking
Seriously.
The best part of that theory then is
chill.
that Marklin has just been recruiting people in weird armor during the age of science and technology. Just be like, hey, come play in my mountain and see if you get powers. And people were okay with that.
Yeah.
That's very
Well, I mean,
odd.
we've talked about some of the characters so far. Do we want to deep dive into the rest? Because like this is the problem that I have with this show.
Yeah.
There are so
Only one.
many characters. Like there are
Yeah. Well, remember, it's for the toys.
right. And I mean, I had a hard time watching this and not seeing like Hasbro packaging just pop up because I mean, a lot of them were just the exact same model.
Yeah. Over and over,
of
just different
armor
color.
over and over and
yeah,
over
that's all it
again.
was. They were kind of like distinguished by colors and then the power that they had, which some of them were pretty cool. Some of them were just like, what the fuck? Like, who came up with this idea?
Yeah.
But yeah, we can definitely talk about the two different sides of them. I do want to mention one particular scene. There were some cool scenes as these knights were climbing the mountain and trying to get around the different traps. There were some cool traps throughout the mountain that tried to like thin out the ranks basically. There's one where the bad guys basically cut this rope bridge so that the people can't follow behind them, and they drop
Yeah.
they drop like 4 people into the pit, and one dude just like clings to the cliff. Okay, so just to set this up for you folks, this guy is supposedly like fairly intelligent and he's brave and he's resourceful. He takes these like vines and leaves off of the stuff growing along the cliff, and he just makes wings and just soars on an updraft in the cave. I really wanted him to just jump off the side of this ledge and sink like a fucking stone. I
I know.
love that.
That's so what I was
End
hoping.
of
Yeah,
episode.
exactly. Yeah, end of that guy. Don't know who he was, but he's dead now. But unfortunately, that did not happen. So, as you might have guessed, he later is granted with the power of the eagle. And I forget his name because these names are terrible, but I will look it up in a second. So, let's see. Did you guys have
It's
like a
gonna be-
favorite, at least power? His name was Arzon, by the way. Arzon.
Do I have a favorite power?
Yeah, or animal or whatever. Because they not only have like spirit totem animals, only one of which does not exist in our world, and some of them, the ones that had staves or staves or whatever you want to call them, the ones with the banners, they actually had additional powers too, which was kind of cheap for people who didn't have them. But hey, whatever. Merklin does not play fair.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, the shark was pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess.
Uh,
Very limited
like
use though. Like,
Yeah, that's what kind of drove me nuts. Is I was just like that's sweet, but like everything else is land based, and then the two women of the series have water based totems, and that's kind of a like it comes in handy, and it's kind of fun to watch when they get into it. But I don't know. I just
well, I mean, if you think about it just from the standpoint of like Merklin, so he's watching them all try to get to the shrine at the top of the mountain. He sees the two women, the evil one who's Viralina, and the good one who's Galadria, I believe her name is. They end
yeah.
up fighting. So they fight on a bridge and they fall into this kind of lagoon where a giant octopus, a giant squid, is waiting to kind of like attack and devour them. So in Merklin's mind, he's like, okay, these are going to have water-based powers. So that's why he gives Viralina the shark, and he gives a dolphin to Galadriel. They actually use that fairly well throughout the series.
They
There are
do.
times where like one of them escapes through the water, or they rescue other people, through the water, or things like that. So they use that pretty well. Again, I think it's more for the toys because sharks and
I
dolphins are pretty cool.
I loved the in that scene where uh, Galadriel and Viralina are fighting
I
underwater
bet you did.
because there's this giant squid or like an octopus, and like when you're underwater, clearly like explosions in space, there's no sound, and so there is some sound whenever things happen like underwater, but the foley that they used for this octopus was just like chomp 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 chomp, like it was fantastic.
Can we just talk about the physics of all of that for a moment too? Because
Yeah,
it's one of the
please.
more ridiculous fights on this show, and that's saying something. So like
Oh, is it more ridiculous than the next time that they square off against one another, where Gladeria becomes the dolphin and jumps into the water, and then Virulina immediately jumps in, like she
Right.
looks at everybody like, oh, how the fuck are we gonna get her?
Right.
And I'm just like, oh, you
like,
turn into a
come
shark
on, dum dum,
lady.
get in there. This is your
Like,
job. You have one job, Virulina.
and like but she goes after it, and she like goes to kind of like uppercut the dolphin as the
Yeah.
shark, and then just like shoots out of the water.
It was very odd. I don't quite know what happened there. She got to work on her shark swimming skills because they are not good
Yeah.
right now.
I
They're
mean,
not
she
strong.
just got those shark skills. You
Yeah,
gotta give
but
her a break.
Galadriel is doing fine, swimming like a dolphin. She's fine.
She's doing fine.
But yeah, I want to know what happened to that octopus because basically Galadriel is getting like dragged back to be eaten by the squid octopus thing, and she literally pulls a plug. There's a plug at the bottom of this lagoon that she just
Yeah.
pulls a fucking plug, and it's only about a foot wide. But they show her swimming to safety against the current of the water being drained out, and this massive octopus, this poor creature, probably just sucked down into this hole and smashed into jelly. But they never show it. I want to know what happened to the poor thing. I don't know. Just a lot of weirdness in this show. But all right, I'm turning it back over to you guys because I've been rambling. So
No,
no
so
favorite
let's.
I gotta-
powers, favorite anything?
Well, I gotta tell you, I liked his power, but hated his name,
Yeah.
Witterquick.
Yeah.
Witter quick.
Okay,
These names
so
are some of the
he-
worst we've covered.
Yeah, he had a power staff, and
Yeah, you did.
and the cheetah power. So when he used like the power staff thing, and he kind of turned into like the uh, Aladdin style looking
Yeah.
blue genie
He's
as
like
he
a
flew
djinn.
away. Yeah, like that was cool. Like that was a cool effect, and I was like, Lightspeed, okay, because he got away from an attack,
Yeah, briefly.
in a pretty
For like
interesting. Yeah,
1 second, he
well,
gets
that's true.
away from one and
Away
smashes
from an
into another.
attack and directly into a trap.
Exactly.
But um, I mean, I just thought it was actually, it's like the standard like strength,
Right.
speed, like you know, the leader's always the lion kind of
Right.
power. But I mean, I mean, I thought it had the best animation out of all the other powers, which is to say, I guess it's not the
Yes,
worst.
relative to the rest.
So,
I mean, it was interesting
yeah.
though because in the trial to get these powers to begin with, this guy was the one that they come up to this this kind of like long hallway, this long corridor where it's something like out of Super Mario Brothers where these massive columns are just like slamming into the ground and then slowly rising back up, and there's a sequence of them. So you have to either do like some of the knights did and just be like, nope, fuck it, I'm out of here. This is not worth it, and just turn tail and run. Or you can do like this idiot and just run full bore into him and just hope for the best, which is exactly what he does. So that's why he gets his cheetah power. So they do a good job of tying in the behavior and the actions of the knights in the mountain to what they actually get, with the exception of a few. I don't know, the mollusk comes to mind.
I did not get that at
I
all.
didn't.
Don't
Yeah, that
understand the mollusk.
that went right over my
Yeah,
head. I thought it was gonna be like kind of like a spineless,
I thought it was going to be
you
some
know,
kind of creature of the night,
creature.
something fairly powerful, but like obviously like evil or devious or something. Not a fucking mollusk. So they're building it
Well,
up at this
when he
point. Yeah.
turned into the mollusk, though, that thing was like gigantic
Which episode did he turn into that?
in
Oh, see,
four.
that's why I never got to see him do
I
that.
watched one. I watched one extra
Oh,
episode.
dick.
Yeah,
Like
well,
that
it
wizard.
was a two-parter. Episode three was a two-parter, so I wanted to wrap that up.
Wait, episode three was a two-parter?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know they had one after. It seemed like it wrapped up pretty well for me at the end of episode three, but
Yeah,
no, I don't know. But I wanted to
that
see
certainly
the.
wrapped up my level of interest.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yep. But no, he had a cool power. Okay, so back up a second. As we go through all these knights, they kind of start with like the lower ranking knights and kind of the shittier powers, and it looks like the good guys are having some really sweet powers. A lot of familiar animals, cheetah and bear and wolf and fox and eagle and all this. And they get to Leoric, who's their leader, and obviously, like Matt said, he's going to be the lion, so cool, you expect that. And everybody's kind of like impressed with the power of the lion transformation, because these guys transform into their spirit animals, whether they're blue tinged or green tinged, depends on which side you align with. So they build it all up to the lion, and then the only guy left is Darkstorm, and you're like, ooh, what's gonna be, what's gonna combat the lion? And he's like, you're gonna be a mollusk, and they just show this like little spiny fucking snail on his chest, and he's like, a mollusk? I still
Yeah.
don't get that.
It was surprising how big the mollusk actually
Okay,
was when
okay.
he turned into it. Like, it was pretty sizable and intimidating. And like as I was watching it, I was like, oh fuck! I didn't think mollusks were that big. Like,
Apparently,
this thing an invertebrate with a shell on its back.
yeah.
All right.
In
It
the
like
that's what a
spit.
mollusk is.
It
that's
like
a
spit crap at it. Like I was just like, all right, whatever.
yeah. All right, well, I
I
guess he
totally
kind of.
thought that he would have gotten this sort of pterodactyl dragon-looking
Yeah,
thing.
the thylot or whatever
The
they call it. So
phyllots? Yeah.
that's the one, as far as I know, the one that doesn't exist in our world, except for maybe
In
giant
the real
mollusks. In the
IRL.
real. Because you got mollusks and lizards and beetles, gorillas, which are fun, and phylots, whatever the hell this thing is. So it's basically
Yeah.
like an answer to the eagle, because they needed something else that could fly. So they're like, let's make something up. It's a phylot, sure. It's just a fucking pterodactyl. That's all
It's
it
just
is.
like a murder hawk or something
Ooh,
like that.
murder hawk. I like that.
Nice.
Should have been a murder hawk. Yeah.
Murder
Oh,
hawk.
there's also an armadillo. I forgot about that guy.
That was, there were just a lot of.
Weird.
I just feel like somebody just kind of went down a checklist. Like I feel like somebody went to the San Diego Zoo and
Yeah.
was just like, "Man, what did I see today?
Phylot,
Armadillo, phylot, gorilla,
scampering beetle.
and yes, yeah, exactly.
Amber beetle.
Mollusk. Like, yeah, let's make a cartoon show out of
Yeah,
this. This
mollusk.
makes sense.
That's got some
Mollusk.
juice. Let's spin out a cartoon show, comic book, and toy line based on a mollusk.
Jeez.
But I will say that like the animal power is cool. Some are weirder than others. Some they have their different uses. But the alternative powers, because I feel like the people in the toy line were like, this is okay, but we need more. We need more holograms on sticks. So they give all the banner holders these additional powers. And some of them are pretty cool. Like Darkstorms is actually pretty pretty nasty. He can
Yeah,
like
that
decay or
was
rot things or age things to to death basically, or he can reverse it too, which is kind of cool.
right.
Did you I don't know any other ones stick in your mind?
Who was the guy that had the really smart dude with an afro?
Yeah, it was like what was that? It was like there was one that had wisdom, which was
I thought that was the owl. I thought
that's the
Leoric
owl. Leoric has
had
the
the
lion and the
staff
owl,
of
which
wisdom.
yeah, he's got his wisdom staff, which the owl just kind of like pops up. He says like a quick cryptic line and then he disappears again. I think it's
Yeah.
Arzon actually, the guy that was the eagle, that has the what does he call this here? Yeah, he has the power of knowledge. So yeah, it's just
Yes.
this it's a big blue dude with an afro
Yeah.
who's just like, nope, that bitch is definitely not a princess, damsel in distress. That's Viralina in disguise, so you should probably kill her. So,
Was Leoric like? Did they model that character? He's the only one that has. He's got a sweet
yeah,
mustache.
she's the only one. Yeah.
Did they model him after Billy D. Williams?
You think Billy D. Williams? I was gonna say like Tom Selleck. I was
Oh,
gonna say
really?
Tom Selleck.
No, I mean like his like the I don't know, just the because like he did not look like he was of Caucasian descent.
Really, Leoric? You
Leoric?
sure?
Yeah.
You don't sound
You
sure.
sound super sure
Yeah.
right there, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
currently
I'm
looking
doubting
up.
myself on this
I'm
right now,
currently
but I
looking him
thought
up now. I mean, he's got a little tan going on, but he
he's
looks
got
like
he's
Max Ray from Centurions. To be honest with you, just that sweet
all
stash,
right.
sweet stash. No, that's definitely a Tom Selleck slash Burt Reynolds creation right
All
there.
right, okay, I'll give that to you.
He is pure white.
I'll
Pure
give you
white
I'll give you
knight.
that one, Dave. I'll give you that one.
No, there were no. I don't think there were any minorities in this cartoon. Believe it or not, everybody in the future. There's no science and no minorities. It's all white
I mean,
people.
like that's how gentrification works is find a bad area, put in a Home Depot,
And magic.
put in a Whole Foods, we just put in magic, and then we just
Yeah.
get rid of it, and we just
The
whitewash the
electricity
area.
goes out, and we have magic.
And we got the magic.
Oh, I don't get it.
Oh,
I don't like I have to ask like the question like
yeah.
these toy companies, did they think that like only white kids were buying toys?
I mean, probably, if we're being honest. Yeah.
I,
If you're a toy executive out there, did you think about the minorities ever? Except for Bravestar. Don't bring that
No,
up.
I mean, like, did you think about like demographics, like in terms of like who was watching this? Because I mean, like Saturday morning cartoons are like a universal
You
thing
would think. You would
across,
think.
across like in some cases gender, as well as different like racial backgrounds. And so I guess I just don't understand it.
I mean, I'd love to do a breakdown of that. Maybe that'll be my thesis, to go back through the decades and just look at like gender diversity and racial diversity in
I actually think that would be
cartoons.
super interesting, Dave.
Yeah, I got plenty of time. I'll take that on. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I got plenty of time to do all this research and not actually receive any
Yeah,
type of
exactly.
a legit
Any kind of
degree
acknowledgement.
for
No,
all
I
this.
plan to get my PhD in cartoonomics from this, so it'll be good. It'll be good. I don't know. I feel like if we
It'll
go back
be
to like,
that'll be another degree under your belt. There you go,
yeah,
bud.
I need all more useless degrees. Just pile them on.
Oh, come
I'm
on.
not even kidding. But no, I mean it would be interesting because there were things like the Cosby Kids cartoon, and there were a lot of the group kind of like obviously Scooby Doo, but not all the white kids in Scooby Doo. There were like the
Well, I
Mystery
mean,
Machine, yeah, mystery solvers and things like that. Yeah.
I'm not. I'm going to hint at this, but we are going to be watching a more diverse cartoon next week.
Are we? I don't know it yet. I don't know what
We
you're
are. I
thinking.
know you don't know it.
Oh boy.
Fat Albert?
That's a very diverse cartoon.
That was that's very.
We got weight differential graphics and
Oh boy.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. Where are we right now? I don't even know.
I mean, like, so I mean, like, we've talked. Oh God, I feel like we've just talked about like this crazy synopsis over and over again.
Well, but to be
Got
honest with
these
you, each of the
batshit
episodes,
insane
but each of
characters.
the
Yeah.
episodes just evolves into them fighting. So they say the same, their same spells over and over again to like awaken these powers. Which guess what? Shitty wizard magic. You can only use them once, and you got to trek all the fuck the way back up the mountain, put your staff in the magical pool, and charge it up
Yeah.
again for one
Oh yeah.
use.
Well, that sounds sexy. Go
Sean's
on.
getting turned on. I gotta calm him down. He's getting randy.
Oh, God.
Oh boy.
Keep
Keep your
talking
staff
about
down.
it.
Your power staff.
You know what? I will say
Yep.
this is the thing that was very confusing to me. Was that I feel like again this cartoon. I know we've had other cartoons before that have kind of like they kind of have like failed themselves in terms of branding.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like this is a cartoon where like I sat around and I was like, wait, are they all visionaries? Like, is just one group visionaries?
Yeah.
Like, there's spectral knights?
Well, Merlin calls them.
And then
yeah.
there's the Darkling Lords.
Right.
Like, I just.
Well, do you remember how? So they're like very specific how each of those names came up. Do you remember them? Either of you?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like Merklin,
Right.
like Pubic Wizard calls them visionaries.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, you're the only ones that made it this far, so you are all visionaries.
You guys
Like,
are all
well, okay.
visionaries.
That's kind of a weak ploy, but
Yeah.
okay, we'll go with that.
Like during like Pubic Wizard's like task, somebody calls I think Darkstorm like the Darkling Lords.
Yeah, it's when all the other like minor knights kind of ally with Darkstorm, and somebody comes in and they see them all together when they're right before they're about to start fighting, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's all the Darkling Lords!" And they're like,
oh, that's good branding for us.
oh,
We didn't
hey,
have to come up
great
with that name.
That's totally going to be our softball team name.
Add it. Yeah, exactly. Get it on T-shirts,
Yeah,
guys.
exactly, corporate softball league.
And so then, and then the Spectral Knights thing was like something where, like, I know we mentioned about like the
Wisdom Owl.
Yeah, the Wisdom Owl was just like he cryptically said like, you know, get all of get all the light together in the same place or something.
It was like gather the light in a circle or enter the circle of light or something. And he's like, just I can use you once. Tell me something useful. Not something
Everybody else gets
super
this like badass fucking thing, and he just gets this cryptic ass message from a dumb owl.
It just goes back in his little staff and just sleeps. It's the worst.
Did you see that? I don't know if it was just me, but it looked strangely like the mechanical owl from Jason and the Argonauts.
Bebo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looked like Bebo or Bibu, whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of my
Devo?
favorites. Devo, and Devo the mechanical owl with a fucking fire hydrant on his head. Yeah, I'll be honest though, the Spectral Knights got the short end of the power staff here because they had some pretty shitty powers. Pretty shitty powers.
I mean,
really
their
did.
names. Yeah.
I want to I kind of just to kind of give like a summary or like a quick synopsis of this. So after this task, when everybody pledges like to keep peace in Prismos, now that they are the Visionaries. They're just like, let's keep peace in Prismos, and everybody's just like, you know, here,
Well,
like,
whose idea
I
was
agree.
it? Do you remember?
What?
Whose idea was that originally? Do you
That was
remember?
Darkstorm.
Exactly, which is a surprise. Very
So
nice.
yeah, so you know, Darkstorm does this. All of the to become Spectral Knights walk away, and then somebody turns to him, and they're just like, "We're not fucking doing that, right?" And he's like, no, we're not doing that shit at all. Like, oh, we're gonna be as bad as we wanna.
I love it though because he's like, we don't have to do shit, but Leoric will because he's an honorable guy and he has to stick to his
man of his word.
Exactly, so he plays it against them. I don't know. I like that first episode because it was different from everything we've kind of watched so far. It was like there was no strong delineation between bad guys and good guys, at least as far as teams at the beginning. Very obvious when it
they
came
were
to
just
the
kind of
behavior,
all
but-
crappy people.
Yeah, well, they were just kind of like they were all kind of vanilla. Like they didn't really, except for the one guy who jumped off a cliff with leaves strapped to his arm. Like there wasn't anybody that was like interesting. But I don't know. It was different. All right, like it was something different. The wizard came in. He was like, "There's magic. Do you want it? Come get it." They were like, "All right, yeah. Well, we got nothing else to do. The world's pretty much over. So fuck it. Our plants can't grow." They have this weird hang up about botanical gardens, which I didn't quite understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck was
I
that?
don't know.
Well, I mean, so to paint the picture, like when they are in the middle of the this task that Pubic Wizard has given to them,
They're in like a labyrinth at this point.
like
yeah.
Leoric, I guess it was the Ektar and
Azeron, I think. No, it was Feral.
yeah.
Was it Feral at
or
that point?
Feral
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
Cryotech, which is
let's
it
go
was-
through
is
it
these.
Cryotech?
Because it was the
Tech.
it was like right when they were walking around and he was like using his sense of smell
Right.
to get them out of a maze. Which, based on that maze, I don't know how it just didn't smell like dead bodies everywhere.
just
Yeah.
Because that's what was in the maze.
Right.
So they like as they are working on completing this task, they're going through like this whole thing, and they're trying to like they are walking and talking like they're having like a power business meeting as they're completing this
Yeah,
task.
you're like,
They're just
guys, this is a
"Do we
fucking
wanna do a
race,
joust-
like,
do we want to do a jousting thing, Dave? Dave, what are you feeling? Jousting thing?
He's like, oh, when we're done, climbing this mountain, getting some sweet magic powers. He's like, maybe we should put like a jousting arena in at the castle.
What about a botanical? How are you feeling about a botanical
And then they just
garden,
come up
dog?
with the botanical gardens. He's like,
Christ.
what is this conversation? Okay. These
Yeah, maybe not the
guys,
best time, buddy.
these guys, there's a point where there's like a trio of bad guys, a trio of good guys. They're all walking around. They end up kind of almost bumping into each other. The bad guys send their lackey, his name's Mordred, they send him kind of like off as a diversion to pretend that he's in trouble. Okay? So, in other words, to draw the good guys to him because they're going to help and slow them down. So that works. The bad guys' plan works out fine. Mordred draws them off. The other guys, the bad guys, call Mordred back, and the good guys, realizing that they've been duped and are now, hundreds of yards behind the bad guys, rather than just be like, "Oh fuck, we're in trouble, we got to get going." They sit there for about 5 minutes and they talk about it. They sit there and like, "Oh, I wonder why he was causing a diversion, getting us to slow down." And hey, maybe we should. You think we should catch up with him? Does that sound like a good idea? There's something lost in translation between the, I'm assuming, Japanese animation styling and the eventual American like English translation here, because there are a lot of like weird things that totally just make zero sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I was like, is this bad editing, bad writing, or bad
I think it's a
translating?
bad
Or
all
D,
three
all of the
those, all of
above.
the above's the trifecta. There's like a scene where a guy he's on a hang glider and he's
Oh,
screaming.
that was the
Oh
best.
my god. It's Mortgert again, so he's the spy.
The trash bag stretched over a frame through the
Hey
window.
man, this is a world where you can fly with leaves strapped to your arms, so whatever
Fair
works.
enough.
There's no science or technology. There's gerbils powering catapults and pigs powering treadmills, so I don't even know. But yeah, he's like shouting at a window to open. He's like, "Somebody open the window!" And he just crashes through this plate glass window. And you can see the look of the people's faces. They kind of look like they're first maybe not concerned, maybe they're angry, but the dialogue does not match up with it whatsoever. So there's some weird editing things throughout, which make it kind of funny though. I enjoyed those moments because it just made me laugh completely offhandedly because it made no sense with the rest of the show.
Well, we should say that like because we mentioned
Yep.
Mordred, like he is unabashedly like just kissing
Oh
butt
yeah.
for Darkstorm the entire time. And it turns out that he's one of like two people who's able to like of the Darkling
Right.
Lords to be able to control
Yeah,
vehicles.
so they don't have the little banners, so they don't get the extra powers, but
Right.
Pubic Wizard is kind of like, oh, don't worry, you guys are
I'm so glad
totally
this is going
covered.
on.
Yeah, I love Pubic Wizard. He's like, you guys are totally covered. I just won't tell you what your shitty powers are. You gotta figure it out for yourself. And they
Yeah.
figure it out by touching these vehicles that they can apparently power and sell more toys.
Yep.
That's all it is. All about the
I just
toys.
I just wish that like at some point like one of their like mirrors like one of their octagonal mirrors
Octagonal.
like on like their chest had just like I wish it had like
Ruptured.
it illuminated and it was just like a dollar bill like
Or
it was
like
just,
a
like
magic
cash
eight
money.
ball.
Imagine
What?
just shake one of the
Or like
guys
a
and
magic eight ball.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
it. They just picked Mortard up and just shook him to see what the future would be. That would have been
Yeah.
great. The funny thing is like how they use magic in this though. So I already said like some of the powers are real shitty. The shitty aspect of them is that you can only use them once. The power staffs. You can only use them once and they're
Yeah.
drained, which is shitty. Also, anybody can use it. So like if you drop your power staff, anybody can come along and pick it up as long as they know the spell. They can use that against you too. So there are episodes later on where they like the bad guys will get a hold of the good guys' power staffs and use them against them, or vice versa. So that was
Right.
kind of interesting that it wasn't just like this is my sword and no one else can use it. It was like actual weapons that anybody could pick up if you knew how to use it.
Now,
It's kind of cool.
Matt, did you have a favorite power staff?
Um, no.
The end.
I mean, honestly, like, I mean, you
Dave,
know,
moving on.
yeah,
Now again,
well, I mean, the I mean, the powers were just like they were weird to me. Like
yeah,
the one that had they were just so unbalanced. Like the destruction one,
yes, thank you. That was my favorite.
like why would you not just be like, okay, I'm the king now, or I'm going to destroy everything?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Tell me about
the-
the
like,
destruction one though. Do you remember the line? Because I have it in front of me. If you don't,
Yeah.
ah, I don't.
they
If you
only
have it
said
in
it a
front of you, go ahead.
thousand times in the 3 episodes we watched. It
I
was
truly do not
It was
remember.
by nature's hand, by craft, by
My
art.
art.
What
Oh, that.
once was one now fly apart.
Yeah.
Just come on, man. Spend at least
Yeah.
a minute on these things. Not.
Was no who had the power staff for chaos? Was that Cinder?
No, Sindar was the guy that he was the gorilla, and then he also had the destruction power staff. So was he the real dumb one that loved kitty cats?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He
So who had the
for
chaos one that like just turned into like that giant beast?
No, that was that one. It was destruction. I think they
Was
might have
it? That
called
was
it chaos
destruction?
too. But
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, that was his.
Yeah, I think Pubic Wizard called it chaos, and I was like, well, that sounds pretty rad.
And they were just like, nah, we're gonna turn it into destruction. So we're on Wikipedia here, where they have the spells for all of the power staff spells.
Yeah.
The phrases for all the power staff spells. Most of them say this spell was never actually used in either the cartoon or the comic. So,
Yep.
how do you know what it is? I guess it was probably on the toy box. But yeah, they use the same ones over and over and over again.
Oh man.
Sean, did you have a favorite one though? Because I agree with
Yeah, I think it was the destruction chaos one. I thought that one was pretty rad.
There was a cool
when
one. Yeah.
When I
I
saw
like
that,
the,
I was just like, oh, this one actually does something.
It does something
Oh,
worthwhile. Just kills everything.
Yeah.
I did like the giant archer's bow, although it made it really, really clear how stupid the once and done use of it was.
Yeah.
Because, like, they blocked the gigantic arrow with a shield, and I was like, well, now you're both done.
Yeah, it was like if one had a power of one shot from a big bow, and one had a power of like this impenetrable dome, and they both spend it, and they're both back where they started. So I was like, well, this fucking thing is worthless. There was kind of a cool one, the fear one, where
That was
it's kind of like it was a couple different things though.
It was Kravix,
spiders, right?
Yeah. So Kravix has a power staff that it has the power of fear, and so the line for this is, "Oh, mist-filled pits, dark, dank, unclear, touch all before me with frost-fingered fear." And he uses that on Gladeria, and she sees spiders, and she like cuts them in half, and then it's like trouble with tribbles,
Right.
and then and then she looks up and she sees, and this is what I wrote down. I was just like, she sees a giant tidal wave, and her power is a dolphin.
Yeah, you think
This
she'd
is
be
the
fine?
only opportunity where she could have some success in this battle with her totem,
Yeah.
and she's freaking out. Like, she's got no chill.
The fear got her, dude. Speaking of these spells, though, like a lot of them are like kind of tongue twistery, and I felt bad for the voice actors. I should mention for Kravex, the voice actor's name is Chris Latta. I think his actual name is Chris Collins, but he had to change it because there was already one in the Screen Actors Guild. So Chris Latta, who also voiced, do you remember?
Oh yeah.
Did you look it up? Yeah, go ahead, take it.
No, he did Starscream.
He did Starscream. He also, which is very like obvious. He also did Cobra Commander.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he did Cobra Commander.
I wrote that down. I was like, the Krivix is the Cobra Commander, and I was just like, at one part, when they were like getting ready to go into battle, I was like, please scream Cobra by accident.
They should have just made him into a cobra instead of a fucking phylot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how, like, again, back to the mollusk. I don't know how Darkstorm was a mollusk instead of just like a giant cobra. That would have been pretty sweet.
That would have been fun.
Would have been okay.
I feel like that was a missed opportunity, but I mean, they had Recon, who had a lizard.
They had Lexor, who was an armadillo, so that's fun, I guess.
Yeah.
Everybody has fun. I don't know, man. Do you guys have anything else from this show? Sean, was there anything like worthwhile in episode 4 that we didn't see in the first 3 episodes?
Yeah, everybody seems really cool in episode 4 with human slavery.
Oh, really? Okay, well that's good.
Which was
That's interesting.
Yeah, there's like this there's this group of people who they have never actually really had to do any work before, because they had robot slaves.
Oh, like
to...
Techno Dragon?
Yeah, right.
That's a real thing from this show, by the way, in case you think I'm making
Yeah,
that up.
exactly.
Techno Dragon.
There's a wizard who pilots a Techno Dragon, so definitely spin up some beats and watch that episode. Quest for the Dragon's Eye, Techno Dragon.
Yeah.
Featuring Sandstorm and Darude.
So they just like, everybody seems really cool with the idea when Darkstorm he proposes. He's just like, well, I can't fix your robots, but I can get you these other knights if you help me.
Oh, nice.
And you can have the spectral knights, and then you can have human slaves. And like within like a blink of an eye, everybody's just like, yeah, I'll enslave a human. Yeah, this is awesome. Like,
Why
fuck these robots.
didn't we think of that 7,000 years ago?
what's enslaved people? Like I'm sitting there just like I'm face palming myself as I'm watching this, and I'm just like I hate everything. Like there's this one there's this one line where the woman she just goes, "I've never had to deal with humans before," and I was like,
I was wondering where that came from.
I was like, listen here, you millennial entitled dick.
Right.
Like just, and it's like it was something like she'd never done like cross stitch or something like that. Like she had ripped clothes, and I was just like, this seems like a problem that you might not want to obsess with. In the time where technology really doesn't exist anymore.
Or
like,
a problem maybe not to solve with slavery. It seems a bit excessive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just learn how to sew.
Like, they just, it was, it just.
Well, Dave, why would you need to learn how to sew when you can just have your slave learn how to
I mean,
sew?
Matt makes a good point. I can't argue with that.
I think the thing that was weird about episode 4, and I don't know if it becomes like a reoccurring theme throughout later episodes, but the spectral knights happen upon this group of people, and they can't grow their crops, and these robots are not working anymore,
Okay.
and so they can't get any. They can't grow any food, and so
That
the
is a
spectral
recurring
knights.
theme, yeah, because we've seen that
Yeah.
like the first. They mention it in the
I
first
think
couple
that's like
episodes
episode
too.
2,
Yeah.
3.
So the spectral knights are just like, you know what? Like they do the thing that like you see in every cop drama that like the second it happens, the other cop's just like, yo man, you don't want to make any promises to anybody that you can't keep. Like you don't know that we're gonna catch that killer.
Right.
Like why would you tell that young kid that we're gonna catch his parents' killer?
Right.
Like we haven't caught him yet.
Like
Like
on
don't do
Gotham.
that.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah,
Dave, we're not plugging anything yet.
No,
so
I'm
just-
trying not to plug that show.
I know. So like, I guess it was one of the spectral knights. I forget who it was just sort of just like immediately he goes, well, maybe we go to Pubic Wizard and see if there's like a magical way that we can like fix this. And I was just like, oh come on, dude! Like, you guys are like gonna just. I feel my problem is, I feel like what has happened is that they were given these magic powers, and then they were all like. Nobody else is going to have any creative thinking from that point forward,
Right.
because they're just like, well, I'm just going to rely on these magic powers.
Now
That's like,
that is a perfect segue into something we missed in this discussion, which is the intro and the theme song to this show.
Yes.
Do you have the lyrics in front of you? The spoken lyrics and the sung
ooh,
lyrics?
sure do.
Yeah. Do you want to roll through that real quick? Because that actually is a great point to what you just mentioned. This kind of lays everything out.
And so this does a good job of kind of
Yeah,
of
it's a
laying
good
the
intro.
foundation and the scaffolding for the
Yes.
show. And so it just says it is a time when magic is more powerful than science. And I was like, was this written by Christians?
That's almost where I just checked out, to be honest with you. I was like, fuck no, you are not talking shit about my science. Bunch of cartoon dicks.
It is a time when magic is more powerful than science, and only those who control the magic control destiny. They are the Visionaries. Visionaries, knights of the magic light. Visionaries, with magical powers they fight. Powers of mind, strength, skill, and speed. Powers to accomplish the greatest of deeds. Visionaries, knights of the magical light.
Yeah, and what do we see them using these powers for? Most of the time they're just fighting each other. Like,
Yeah.
they really don't...
And they use it once.
And is once and done. And then they just
Once
go
and
on.
done.
Yeah. It's like they don't really seem to help people. If they need to help people, like Matt said, I think at the end of episode 3, there's a bunch of idiots who... It's been 4 days since the world ended, and they can't remember how to grow crops. So yeah, they just go to Pubic Wizard again. He's just like, boom, here's a grove. Knock yourselves out. It's pretty bad.
I mean, it is.
There's no
Like,
accountability. There's no anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you wonder, and you think to yourself, like, I mean, because I know we've had the difference in terms of like what the show proposes the timeline has been, and what the comic book potentially proposes the timeline between like 100 to 4 years.
Right.
So like
4 days to possibly a few centuries. Yeah.
Yeah, let's average it out. Let's just say like 50, 45 to 50 years, like in that range, and like
generations, yeah.
nobody has gotten their shit together in that time.
No. Everybody's just been starving because it's like idiocracy. Like they can't remember how to do anything. They're
Yeah.
watering the crops with Gatorade. They don't know what's happening out there.
And I think that that's what's scary is just like if we were to ever lose the science and technology and engineering capabilities that we have, like would we this quickly like devolve into just kind of this madness.
Buddy, I
Yep.
hate to break it to you, but we are currently living in a time when magic is more powerful than science. So, unfortunately, we'll see where this takes us. But yeah, I think that's as good a point as any to end
Well,
this.
I'm going to start working on my mirror armor right
There you
now.
go, polish it up. Oh, can we please, God, if we ever do a live show somewhere, if we could somehow cobble together some Visionaries armor or Centurions Lego exosuits, I would
Oh
love that so
no.
much. I'd love that so much.
Oh, that'd be
Start
great.
thinking about your cosplay ideas, kids.
Oh.
Are we going to recommend this one? We've been tearing it down, but are we going to recommend it, Matt? Since we can welcome you back again, I'm gonna give you first dibs on your recommendations.
I am going to recommend
Okay.
it because I mean it's a shit show,
Yeah.
but I mean some of the stuff it's just so funny, like how they go from you know they lose the power of electricity and also modern vernacular.
Right.
So
Right.
you have like you have people living in futuristic buildings saying "take flight," so and not referring to actual flight,
No.
but I'm going to recommend it. I
Cool.
mean, it's worth at least 3 episodes.
Okay. Fair enough. Sean, how about you, buddy?
All right. Uh, yeah, I'd say it's worth 2 episodes if you can kind of stomach the fact that like they're gonna throw a lot of characters at you very very quickly. It's like it's kind of an interesting premise. I mean, like we've kind of seen something that's like this with like with like Thundar.
Right. Definitely with Thundar.
Um,
Yeah.
you
Super.
know,
But
and
that was a time of super science, so science got even better. So
yeah.
sorcery
So
and
I mean,
super
like
science. Yeah.
hopefully these two are like canon.
Yeah. Right.
And it just means that like a fine wine, it just gets better
Oh.
the longer we wait on super science. And so like we've seen this premise before on some cartoons, and so like I can appreciate it. Like and if you can stomach past like the constant like weird bright colors of armor and the idea that like Hasbro just really wants you to buy these toys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it makes for an interesting origin story. I mean, it's 13 episodes. I don't know that I'm going to watch all 13 of
Right.
them. I'm glad though that I watched the first two. With 3 and 4, I was kind of just like, I'm killing time.
Yeah. Once I hit three, I was about spent. But
Yeah.
I'll recommend the first two, like you and Matt,
Yeah.
because it's cool. I like the intro. Like I said, I like that first episode. They did some things that were interesting and different from other shows of the time. It eventually devolved into something, expected, but it was fun. Something cool to check out, and just for like the mollusk reveal, even though we've already ruined it, it's still just hilarious to hear Pubic Wizard say, "You have the powers of a mollusk," and he's like, "Oh, great, wonderful, glad I went through this entire ordeal." Freaking mollusk.
It's like I feel like if we went through this thing
Yeah, what if
ourselves,
we did it, Sean? What do you think you would end up with
I
at the end
think
of the
you'd
day?
get an otter,
Oh,
Dave.
come on. That's not. I don't want an otter. They're so
I think
sweet,
you
though.
get
They're
you
slick
get
and
an ot
sweet.
you get an
And they open
otter,
up their little clamshells on their bellies.
Dave. Yeah, Dave. That's what I'd say, Matt. I think you would get. Uh,
Think
I wanna
about it.
say no. I mean, because I've already thought about it. I lost the note. I think Matt would get walrus.
I can see walrus.
Yeah, I'll take
Uh,
that.
yeah, or like a
Why are
whale.
we? Why is every? Oh, whale. Why are we all sea creatures? We just gonna hang out with Galadria? Galadria?
Well, yeah. I mean,
I'll take that.
Yeah.
we're trying to get that sweet sweet dolphin tail.
Dolphin tail.
Dolphin's Tale
Dolphin tail
3
two.
coming out.
Getting caught in a tuna net.
Oh boy. Here's
I don't know.
a
What do you guys think I'd turn
well, here's a
into?
Hollywood confession. I was on set for Dolphin Tale 2, so that's the end of that. Or was it Dolphin
Ooh.
Tail? I can't remember. I think it was 2. Doesn't matter. Um, yeah. What would you turn into? What is the ginger of the animal world?
Oh, fuck off.
Well, you called me an otter, so what are you gonna get?
Yeah, you're gonna give me something because we have a bear that's already
You can
in
be an
here. And we got an
orangutan.
otter.
I'd like
You
to
want to
see an
give me something
orangutan.
else in a what?
Orangutan.
An
Yeah, just
orangutan?
walking
I was
around.
gonna go with like a seagull because it's pale and annoying.
I could see that. Caw-caw! No, I like orangutan better. Sean just walks around naked, scratching his balls most times anyway, so it's kind of fitting.
And the only way to get rid of it is to throw fries on the ground and then run
Or
away.
just throw
That is
throw
how you get
rice. Just throw
rid.
uncooked rice.
Alka-Seltzer.
Oh, come on. All right.
The end.
Cool.
I
Uh,
was gonna say honey badger for me, but I guess I'm an otter. So
yeah, I guess you could be a honey
thanks,
badger.
buddy.
Kind of, maybe like a ferret.
Meerkat.
Yeah.
God. Okay.
Mm,
So in the last 45 seconds, we've named much better animals than mollusk or
yeah.
lizard or
Yeah.
something made up. So
God.
we should rewrite Visionaries Part 2. And
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's also how much time they put into the first round was
exactly.
45
Yeah,
seconds.
that's about it. All right.
Oh my
Well, that
gosh.
wraps it up for Visionaries Knights of the Magical Light. What do you guys have coming up, Matt? I know you've been on a hiatus for a little bit. Do you have anything coming up for the listeners out there?
Honestly, I am just getting back into the swing of real
All
life,
right.
so I will keep you posted when I decide to do something with that.
Fair enough. I think Sean's got you covered.
Oh.
He's got a lot of stuff coming up. So, Sean, why don't you let the folks know what you'll be up to for the next couple of weeks?
Oh man, when this podcast drop or when this podcast
Drop them
podcast
podcaps in your ass.
dropping podcaps. When this episode drops, I'm actually going to be in San
Oh,
Diego.
nice.
So thanks, San Diego, for being such gracious
Whale's
hosts as
vagina.
I and drink my way through your beautiful city. But starting in March, March 14th at 6 p.m. I have a show. March 20th at 10. March 28th at 10. April 4th at 10 and April 11th at 4 p.m.
Sean likes doing this so that I have to write down all his notes. And,
I can send this all to you, buddy. No worries. We'll be performing for WIT's annual 3-on-3 improv tournament called Fist, which is Fighting Improv Smackdown Tournament. I don't name these things, but that's cool. So Fist is going to be going on throughout March and April. But I'm going to be performing during those daytimes with Knox. You can find out more and buy tickets at witdc.org.
Excellent. And like Sean mentioned, I will have all those up in our show notes, so you don't have to scribble them down as he's chatting here. You can just head on over to SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. Remember, that's morning with a U. We'll have all that information up along with links, so you can buy tickets to Sean's show and dress as a nun or throw some Alka-Seltzer tablets up at him and see if he explodes.
So many nun puns.
Oh, so many nun puns. Hashtag. What was
Nun
my
pun.
hashtag? None pun intended.
None pun
my
intended.
God, I cracked myself up with that one. I hurt myself, pat myself on the back there. None pun
Guys, we
intended.
kill each other on Twitter right now.
We do, because we're the only ones
much
listening.
fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Oh, hey.
Hey, Dave, what do you got coming
Yeah,
up?
thanks for asking. So over at Collider.com, I'll be reviewing such shows as The Fantastic Gotham, and also the more enjoyable shows, The Flash, Arrow, The Walking Dead, and actually probably by the time you guys hear this, Constantine will be done, and I don't think it's coming back. So if you missed it, go back, check out my recaps, and go back and rewatch the few episodes of Constantine that exist, and maybe there's a slimmest of chance, 1 in 175 million, that there will be a season 2. But yeah, head on over to Collider.com or Collider.com/TV, and you can check out my recaps there. If you want to know,
Dave, where can I find you on the interwebs, dog?
dog dropping podcasts. Other than Collider.com, you can find me on Twitter at DrClawMD. That's about it for me. Sean, where can the folks find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Paul Ellis.
And Matt Barron, I've missed this so much. Please tell me it's still active. Where can we find you on social media?
Add bag of sandwiches.
Oh, it's a throwback. I love it. Those sandwiches have to be rotten by this point. I hope you got a new sack. Deary me. If you want to find out more about the show, SaturdayMorningCartoons.com, like I mentioned earlier. You can also head over to our Tumblr page, SaturdayMorningCartoons.tumblr.com. Check out all the craziness that Sean is posting up on that site. You can also find us on Twitter at MorningTunes. Remember, that's morning with a U. Send us an email, suggest a show, tell us how we're doing. SaturdayMorningCartoons@gmail.com. You can also download our podcast each and every week through iTunes and Stitcher. Speaking of each and every week, what do you want us to guess what's coming up next week, Sean? I have
No. I'm gonna lay it out for you guys. Next week we are gonna be watching Jackie Chan Adventures.
Oh no!
Oh, yes.
I actually like that. I do remember that one.
Oh, I'm
He
so
makes his
curious
Jackie
to
Chan
watch
face
this.
all the time in that cartoon, if I remember correctly.
Oh god, this will
gonna
be
be fun.
interesting.
We're gonna have Jackie Chan on the show, kids. So no, that's never gonna happen. But
No, it's not gonna happen.
You never know. Once he's old and senile, maybe we can get him on the show.
Ooh, that'll be fun, Jackie Chan.
Yeah, he seems like a fun guy. Jackie Chan Adventures. Did not see that one coming. Okay.
Yeah, huh?
Not sticking with the Knights theme anymore, huh?
No,
Yeah, threw that one out.
I mean he's We did two and then we're done. We're gonna come back to it a little bit later this month with the Knights theme. So I'm cool with that.
Cool.
Taking a break.
I'm gonna let Sean do our outro tonight. I'm gonna put him on the improv spot again. Don't know how this is gonna go,
I don't
but
know.
we're gonna let him do. What was he? A seagull orangutan? Some kind of combination of the two. If you had a power staff banner spell power, what would your incantation be?
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, buddy, take it away.
Oh my
You
God.
called me an onion.
Uh,
I'd say you can
no,
combine seagull or orangutan, whatever you want to do.
it'd be something like nature give me power and give me wrath. Find Dave's car and drop on it some craps.
I like that. I thought you were gonna
Yeah.
work Mark McGrath in there somewhere.
Ooh, one way. Boo-doo.
Well, that'll do it for us tonight. Thanks for listening to Saturday Morning Cartoons. We'll see you next time.